This is Julia Widup, and we have with us today composer Jon Sewell. Sewell. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, Jon, tell us about your music and how that relates to the hero's journey.
Well, it's interesting because I think in a lot of ways the music that I came to write and compose is paralleled with a lot of the idea of the hero's journey, the work that Joseph Campbell did, because my life story parallels that in its own way. Go ahead. Well, I was raised in a small town, very religious upbringing. There were a lot of challenges growing up. I went out into the world, didn't have a lot of guidance, started experimenting with chemicals, got into all kinds of trouble, eventually worked my way out of it, found a very spiritual path for myself, connected to something in the core of who I am and how I relate to the world, that sort of Prometheus stealing fire from the gods. And then I began to incorporate that into my compositions. And so now I spend my time composing music that revolves around the rites of Eleusis, that the ancient mysteries where people would go into the underworld and come back with this idea of immortality.
Wow. That I'd love to hear. Is it possible that you could play something for us right now, or is that not possible? Probably not set up for it right now.
Yeah, I don't think I have everything set up for it just to play it straight into the device, but I could certainly provide you, if you go to the website for the musical theater company I work with, there are links to audio tracks you can listen to. Wonderful.
Tell us what that website address is.
That would be www.elusive, spelled ELEUSYVE.com.
Okay.
And then if you just go to the Listen tab, there's lots of samples from about 10 years worth of shows now.
Wonderful. That sounds interesting. So sounds like you studied a lot of mythology and Joseph Campbell's work.
I'm a big fan of Campbell's work. I really love the way that it ties in with our own culture. And Campbell's not the only one. I mean, Albert Pike's work when he was writing for Scottish Rite Masonry, Eliphas Levi's work, Paul Foster Case, Aleister Crowley. There are literally hundreds of people who have contributed to our understanding of mythology as it relates to our own culture. And Campbell's work in particular really resonated for me because of the challenges that I went through when I was younger.
And came out the other side as strong. And came out the other side a stronger person, right?
Well, yeah. That's the program, isn't it? I mean, you don't really know. You don't really know what you're capable of until you've overcome challenges. And then they don't really look as big looking back on them as they do standing in front of them. I think Alchemical Parables sort of mention that, where it looks like a huge wall from one side and then just a small, hedge that you've stepped over from the other.
Yeah. And so how does that translate to music? Can you explain that to non-musical types at all?
Well, I guess it depends on how you approach the music. I mean, I don't know how other people write. I know how I write. And my writing style involves a great deal of, it's not just intuitive. There's research that goes into it. I look at the rhythms that are employed and, the way that the beats interact with the heartbeat. I look at the intervals and how they affect the psyche. When you're trying to capture a spiritual idea or an emotional idea, whether you go to a major or a minor or what have you, there's a really there are symbolic reasons and there are emotional reasons for doing these things. And the more that you approach it almost with a scientific method in order to really capture the spirit of what you're going for, I think the more directly and powerfully it can come across. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting process because music is something that it travels through the air. It's as ubiquitous as oxygen. It's around us all the time. You almost can't shut it out. It's there so much that it, in some cases, becomes background, but it's still prevalent and it's still communicating with us. And so it's something that I really enjoy working with as an art form. It's dynamic. It changes. It evolves. The beginning of a piece and the end of a piece are related to each other, but there's a whole space in between where you really develop an idea.
Yeah. And the thing about it being the background is you can relive your whole life through the music that was playing at different times of your life.
Absolutely. In some ways, I think it's akin to smell. You smell something and it will bring you back to a moment in your life. And the same can be said of music, where you can hear something and it can take you back to when you first heard that or to a really important moment in your life when you heard it.
Yes, definitely. So I'm sure you have some powerful songs that relate to your experiences. What are some of those?
Yeah. I'm having a hard time hearing you on this end.
Oh, you are? Okay. What are some of the songs that were most powerful for you? Can you remember?
Oh yeah. The music that inspires me most, the things that go back to my childhood. I love Queen. Anything that sort of crosses over between the classical and the more modern forms. My grandfather was a jazz pianist, and I used to sit underneath his piano when I was like 4 years old and just listen to him play. And I really love jazz. I love virtuosity when it's employed in a way that is emotionally moving. I mean, just notes for the sake of notes doesn't necessarily do it for me. I love Mozart, and I'm a big fan of Metallica, and just pretty much anything in between.
Okay. Well, so did you feel that you found the Holy Grail when you decided to become a composer?
I don't know if I so much decided to become a composer.
You just were.
It's more of I definitely feel that I found my purpose in life. Mm-hmm. That was, and more to the point, it found me. You come to that place where you're inspired. It plays through your head at night and keeps you awake. It moves and it breathes and it's got a life of its own that just sort of works through you. It's not something you force. It's something that becomes a force in your life. Mm-hmm. And so I came to the place where I really focused on the music. I mean, I had an interest in fine arts. I had an interest in a lot of things growing up. I focused on the music because the music was the thing that wouldn't leave me alone. It would play through my head at night.
Okay. Well, once again, tell us how we can access your website.
It would be found at www.elusive.com. And we're on Facebook and other social networks, so we're easy to find. We do live performances in Seattle, and we have 5 shows of our latest musical coming up in November.
Oh, wonderful. And who is we? So there's more than you're in a group.
It's me and I work with my wife and partner. She directs. She does on the stage with the visual what I do with the musical, and we work together closely and collaborate. She's wonderful.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, great partner, a wonderful person, and just a genius when it comes to capturing symbols and ideas. So I'm a big fan of hers, and we work together wonderfully.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad that you found that. You're lucky. Very lucky.
Yes, I am, and we work really hard to make that work.
Fabulous. Okay, well, Jon, I've shortened these interviews to 15 minutes, so we have just a few more minutes. Is there something that you want to tell the viewers that I haven't asked?
Only that I think that the quest for spirituality and for a connection and an understanding of our culture, of ourselves, through metaphor, through stories, is something that is as old as culture itself. Mm-hmm. And that anytime you find yourself in a position where you're either creating or acting out your own mythology, that you are coming closer to what it is to be human than anything else that you can do. And if you're not pursuing that in your life, that you're missing out. And yeah, it's not easy. I mean, we don't have a culture that supports that in a way that, say, some cultures are very supportive of art. If you want to be an artist in our culture, it's become ubiquitous with suffering. And so, yes. Which is sad.
Yes,
but
it has.
Totally worth it. So yeah, if I could say anything, I'd say it's worth it.
Well, good. That's inspiring. Thank you for being with us, Jon.
Thank you.